Oh, guys, good, you're here. I am so excited. Guess what? I hope this isn't about your podcast again. Why, did you finally listen to it?
Before we start this podcast, let me invite you to subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, YouTube, or any podcaster. I'm such a cute. All right, everybody, quiet on the set. The Groom Next Door take one. To the audience, in 3, 2, 1. Action! And he is your host, my mommy and daddy, Chris and Stella Green.
Hello, pups and kittens, and welcome to another edition of The Groomer Next Door. This is episode 112, and I'm your co-host, Chris Green. Sitting next to me is the one who just said to me a couple hours ago, "Are you done playing your game yet?" when I had yet to actually start playing, Sarah.
I'm not answering to that.
And, of course, sitting outside of the control room is Claire.
Hey.
How's your week so far?
Oh, good.
Oh, cool. Well, we'll get back to you on your week on A Moment with Claire. Well, this is the 2-year anniversary of the Groomer Next Door episode. Shocking as it may be, but we've been doing this that long. 2 years. Today, actually.
That is pretty amazing. It falls on the exact day.
On the day of release, yeah. February 1st was our very first episode, and February 1st will be, well, you know, we have the early release, but it's only for people who actually subscribe or are on our actual podcast, or, you know, yeah, right, that thing, the Facebook page, there it is.
One thing I do want to make sure everybody realizes, it is so nice out right now. Isn't the weather absolutely gorgeous today?
Oh, back in a t-shirt again, which
50 degrees.
No, it's I think 60.
Are we?
That's what I thought I saw, 60.
Well, my thing is saying 50.
Oh.
Because either way, 50 is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
60 is even better.
Yeah, it says 50 degrees. Wow. Well, 50 degrees.
We're heading to, no, it's supposed to be 60.
Yeah.
It's around the 2 p.m. This is
yeah, 50
update here.
Probably refresh, but yeah,
65.
Yeah, there you go. 65.
Real feel 63.
65 degrees outside. I mean,
totally think we needed to waste 30 seconds on weather.
I know, right? It's pointless. No, it was actually really pointless. Well, let's dive into
The weekly roundup.
the weekly roundup.
The weekly roundup. Yeehaw.
All right, this week on our weekly roundup, kind of a look into what we went through this week, as we do every week. I'll start off this week. Normally we always start with you. Let's start with me this time.
Okay.
Okay.
Star of the show has just entered.
Well, you know, I gave you the top billing for 2 years. I'm taking it back. No. This week was one of those weeks that I would go back to and do it all over again in a heartbeat.
Yes, I agree with you so much.
What a week it was. Every
Perfect.
dog, it seemed like, was perfect.
Yes, I mean, we've had a couple here and there. I mean, we've obviously left the salon with scratches, but
it was good.
Oh, it was
2
fantastic.
cats this week.
2 beautiful, fantastic, perfect cats. And what was so great about these cats?
You didn't have to do anything to them.
I didn't have to wash them. I didn't have to blow dry them. I dematted one, but didn't have to brush them.
That's the takeaway. This week, I really actually got to step into that role, which you've really kind of held back from me for the whole time.
Yeah, me hands were very full that day.
Yeah, it was
2 days.
It was nice. It was nice to actually be able to step in and do those cats. I mean, I've done a couple cats before. Yeah, they were well mannered. They've never had a bath, so they were a little standoffish, and they still had the same personality as any cat that gets wet. But
what is this? Why am I wet?
Exactly. But it was an amazing week. There's nothing much except for the last
fabulous dogs.
My last 2 dogs.
There you go.
Well, it wasn't my last 2 dogs, but I'm gonna call it the last dogs of the week. Was 2 English bulldogs, and I can honestly say I didn't want to do anything except for play with them, spend time with them. They were the greatest dogs of the week.
Yeah, definitely. I run behind quite a bit. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. I was looking at the pattern behind you. I'm sorry.
How is that distracting?
Because it looked like people.
Oh my
holding
god. Okay,
hands.
so you run behind,
I
just like
run
you're running behind right now.
so often for the simple fact that I love playing with the dogs. I enjoy that. Yes, groomers do get to play with dogs. That's not all we do, so it is a little insulting when someone comes up and say, well, all you do is play with dogs. No, but it is a big perk.
And it is part of the job. You have to, because they need to know that you're there to be their friend as well.
Well, I tell people, I need to build up a relationship. And how can you build a relationship with anyone?
If it's sterile?
In an hour.
Right.
No, I need a couple hours. Give me some time with your pet. They need to see me walk by his kennel and me put my fingers in there saying, hi, puppy, and walk away knowing that I'm going to come back and go, hi, puppy, again.
I usually go, hi, puppy, sit down on the floor and start petting him like I did with those two. Oh my gosh, it was... And just to mention this, I actually filmed their bath, both of them, and I'm going to be putting that together in a video podcast for this year. No exact release date when I'm going to put it out there, but it will be coming up. I'm also going to be doing another video, but it's going to take all year, and that's more to come on that throughout the time.
Yeah, that one would be pretty epic if it comes together like it should.
Like it should, right? Yeah, that's going to be that one I'm looking forward to. I'm going to talk to the owner of the dog. I know that she's going to be completely, up for it, but it'll be a real cool progression video. Mm-hmm. Honestly, I think it would be one of the best videos that you could actually see for a Great Dane. I really am hoping that she'll be okay with it. I don't think she'll... she's so cool.
She didn't have a problem with it before. She hasn't had a problem with her other Danes being all over the internet.
Right.
So,
this is one of those movies that literally a progression movie of watching it grow. So it's going to obviously take the whole year to actually film it every time he comes in. He comes in next week, so I'm looking forward to that. That'll be fun. Anything else stand out for you except for just great people, great dogs, great week?
No, I'm still looking outside and saying it is gorgeous out there. It's in the 60s. Oh my goodness. If it wasn't so muddy, I would take Claire to the park.
Yeah.
But it's so muddy because all the rain and the snow and the ice finally melting off.
It feels like spring, like late April right now.
Oh,
even at that, you still have rain, so it's kind of weird.
Yeah. But that was all.
Yeah, that's all. All right, well, let's go and join Chris and Sarah in the GND News studio. All right, this week on GND News.
First off, I'm gonna stop. You are so awkward.
I had fun with that. I sometimes say this stuff just to kind of get a reaction from you. It's like when Recall Police happens and I make the different comments, you're like, there's no sound. What are you talking about, this sound? I have fun with that. And would you please turn that off? We are doing a live show here. Thank you. All right, this week on GND...
Again. You were awkward.
This week on GND News, we have two stories. I said turn it off. Oh, thank you. They listen to me. They do. First story, I really like both stories. I've adapted to your thought process, and that is try to keep the sad stories out of it. So we did.
To a very minimal.
Yeah, to a very minimal.
People know that there's sad stuff out there.
Right.
And people know that heartache is all around.
Right. Especially with pets.
Yeah. So, but they're so much good.
Yeah, we gotta highlight them. So this week I have two stories. One comes from Ohio and a famous celebrity and their adoption. And there's so much that has to be said about this clip that I'm just dying to talk about. And then the second one, if I'm not mistaken, comes from Colorado. Real, sad story. Luckily, no one was hurt. So, anyways, let's go to Ohio and actually listen to this, and then we will discuss. So, Claire, play that clip.
Our dog is getting some love from its new A-list owners. Nate was rescued from his former owner, described as a hoarder, but because he has a birth defect in his leg, no one wanted to adopt him. So he stayed at Love for Mutts, a rescue group in Fairfield, Ohio. But actor George Clooney and his wife Amal had been following Nate's online videos and wanted to adopt him for Clooney's parents. Nate is now living out his days with Nick and Nina Cooley in Kentucky.
All right, so I want to actually start off by, really saying it this way. It's nice to actually know that a celebrity is not so involved in themselves. They're actually following stories that are happening, especially stories about pets. So for that reason, I was really happy to hear about George Clooney. Never actually met George Clooney or been around where he's at, but I've always heard good things about him. So
He's the kind of actor that I'll enjoy his movies, but I don't want to hear anything else.
and
he has views that I do not.
I think he's a very political. I mean, I can definitely see him in politics. He seems like the type. He seems the intelligent. I mean, his wife is the biggest humanitarian in the world.
Yeah.
I mean, she's more of a humanitarian than he is, and yet he gets more credit for being a humanitarian than she does. So go figure that one. But
well, it's just there's so many special people out there that would have taken that dog. I know for a fact if people were in other places that were able to get to that pound or get to that shelter, it is not a pound, they would have adopted it too.
But they were following this on social media, which I thought was really cool. The fact that they were following
I just look at it, okay.
I think his wife makes him better, which is the case in majority of marriages out there.
What I'm saying is like, you have all this money, why don't you donate to him?
Well, how do you know that they didn't?
Obviously they would have said something.
Okay, did you not hear that clip? That reporter had no clue how to do anything.
That reporter was terrible.
That reporter was a podcaster at best.
Not even.
That's it. I mean, a first, couple episode podcast.
I mean, George Clooney's family.
Cooney? Yeah, George Clooney. And it was like a run-on sentence when she started the discussion at the beginning. She says something like, this dog was in the shelter, started the story, and then gives the name of the dog, and then carries on. I'm like, what? Yeah, terrible. Terrible. And look, folks, this reporter was not like a reporter in the field. She was at the news desk in the studio. So she must be good enough.
You never know, the people in the background might have been saying something in their ear to make her laugh, and she just got messed up, because that totally happens.
Okay, now this comes from somebody who watches Newsroom each night now, the HBO show. So, of course, now this makes you an expert on news reporting. I just thought it was a cool thing. I think it's cool that he gave the dog to his parents, the Coonies. I hope they don't have cooties. That was terrible. That was actually as bad as the actual article itself, the report. But I thought it was a cool story. I thought it was.
Yeah, it really was. I think it's pretty cool that he did that he's been following, that he actually was paying attention.
More of probably his wife, but
Either way, versus going shop, give me your saddest dog, and I'm gonna go.
And look, we've been to some places that have specialty pet stores. And they have animals all over the place, and they're probably from puppy mills and stuff like that. And at least he goes to a shelter. I mean, gotta give him that one. Yeah. Let's move on to the other story, which comes, like I said, I think out of Colorado. So Claire, play that clip.
Canine Rescue Center is in need of some help tonight after a narrow rescue is needed in one of its buildings. Fox 31 Denver's Kent Erdahl joins us live in Windsor to explain what happened. Kent?
Well, Deb, this is the building we're talking about here, and it's hard to tell from the outside that a fire actually ripped through. You can only see at the top of the door here, but let me tell you, it scorched the entire inside. They got everyone out, including all of the dogs, but they do need help.
All the dogs at Big Bones Canine Rescue.
This is Bobo. He's a Great Dane. Titan. He's a Tibetan Mastiff. Lily.
Are special.
She is I think maybe like a Mastiff mix of some sort.
Owner Christy Fisher saved many of these dogs from kill shelters, but she never imagined having to save any from her own shelter.
They were all out at the edge of their runs, just like, in a panic.
I kicked it open, and flames were all throughout here.
With the fire spreading throughout this building, Scott Fisher grabbed a hose and got to work.
And there was a blanket here on fire, and flames were up to the ceiling.
And those flames
Coda!
were in Coda's
He's
kennel.
a big goofy puppy.
He's huge and fluffy, and so he would have lit up just like a camel.
Luckily, staff got all the dogs out their doggy doors, and Scott knocked down the flames until firefighters arrived to finish the job.
They said that it was good that he was here to be able to do that, because otherwise we would have lost the whole building.
But fixing the building will still be costly. In the days since, the community has begun to step up, donating supplies like food and more than $3,000.
It's been wonderful.
And the need goes beyond money and food. Because of the lack of space, they're having to pay to board these bulldogs right here. here until they can find a new home.
And even with limited space, the mission continues. This week, a new group of rescues arrived from California, meaning one need tops all others.
Fosters, because we have dogs from Oklahoma, we have dogs from New Mexico waiting to come in.
And tonight I can tell you, in addition to foster and adoptive families, they're also looking for building supplies like insulation and other things for the refurb here. And part of the reason why insurance doesn't look like it will be covering any of the loss. Reporting live in Windsor, Kent Erdahl, Fox 31 Denver.
So a sad story to the fact that the actual shelter was burned down. The takeaway I have from all of this is one thing. The insurance probably will not pay for any of this. So there's the question, what's the point of having insurance if an incident happens and you don't cover it? I mean, this is one of my biggest...
Was she insured?
Oh yeah. At the end of the clip, they said the insurance company would probably not be paying a claim on it. Which is so typical. I mean, this is one of the things I'm really downing when it comes to insurance. Auto is different, but it's like medical insurance is garbage now. Property insurance can be garbage. I mean, the loopholes in property insurance is crap. Even in auto insurance, I mean, there's so many things that your premiums don't cover. So you're SOL. I mean, look, last year we get a crack in our windshield. What did it come from? It came from the rock salt that was in the ground. Did we get reimbursed for it? No, we're out of pocket. All the same thing. If air hits the car and anything happens, we're not covered. If a car hits your car, we're not going to cover it. Seems like there's always something with insurance companies. So that for that reason, I'm out. I'm frustrated by that. That's what upset me. It's like, come on. She has insurance. Obviously, whoever put this plan together knew that it was going to be, for a shelter. And yet they're still not going to pay out. What a piece of garbage.
Well, I mean, it could have been faulty wiring.
Still.
And then they don't pay out for faulty wiring. It's unfortunate. But
how would you know?
But at least she's getting support.
Right.
And people helping her out. Hopefully that boarding facility that they're paying to have the bulldogs at are comping, or at least giving her a hefty discount.
I'm hoping.
I won't work at, for, or with anyone who cannot find some kind of way of giving back.
Very true.
And I have a few times twist somebody's arm enough to get them to do something for free.
Right.
It's like over at where we work, they've given countless days for free.
Right.
Several $100s off bills.
And they were not even a grooming customer. Yeah, they were barely a boarding customer.
Right, and we had one customer, God rest her soul. She wasn't nice.
Nope.
She was very mean.
Yep.
And extremely rude. But she fell ill and had to board her dogs. And it was 2 schnauzers. Well, she didn't like the fact that I took so long grooming. And
she was told that you can get this stuff done really quickly.
Right. Someone else told them that I just drag my feet, or the poor dogs are just there for so long.
Yeah.
And she said, well, the sooner you get my dogs out, the more likely you are to get tipped.
Yeah, she did dangle a carrot over. Yeah.
So I looked. I'm like,
she wanted them done in, I want to say, between an hour. I was going to say hour and a half and 2 hours. Yeah. And I remember the last time you had them done, and it was 2 hours and 15 minutes or 2 hours and 10 minutes. It was something like that. And yeah, she wasn't too happy about that extra 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah, and then I was like, I'll try. And we didn't have anything else. We just had those 2 dogs. So we're like, okay, that's fine. You worked on one, I worked on the other. We got the dogs done in a little over 2 hours. She didn't like it. She didn't tip. And I'm not in this business. You're not in this business for the tips.
No.
We're in it for...
It is nice, though.
It is nice, especially when it's expensive to be a groomer. Our overhead's amazing. But she would do that to us. Oh, well, the dogs were here for 3 hours. I'm not tipping. Okay, that's fine with me, lady. Your dog and I have an amazing relationship. It's worth you not giving me that $5.
Yeah.
For 2 dogs, Well, she fell ill, and she ended up going into hospice. She still wanted her dogs.
Right.
So Keith boarded the dogs there, and then they needed them groomed. So I gave up 2 free grooms, and these were $38 each grooms. I did it because she needed it.
You did it for the dogs. You didn't do it for her.
The dogs needed it too.
Yeah.
But she also needed it. So we got the dogs groomed up, and she still complained. She complained that the dogs were too short. It was in January of last year that this was going on.
Yeah, I would say about a year. Yeah.
Well, she complained about it. It's like, look.
It's free.
It's free, lady.
Yeah.
Your dog was matted from head to toe.
Well, yeah,
Take
the
it or leave it.
the other groomer likes to keep stuff long,
Yeah,
because
super
that
long.
way the person has to come back sooner.
Yeah, I'm like, if you want your groomer, the one that likes to get your dogs out, 2 full grooms out in 2 hours, you can call her and have her come over and pick up the dogs.
Well, why? I always ask this question.
And then you can pay out of your pocket while you're in hospice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, her only requirement was to pay for the food, and even at that, I think at the end she didn't even pay that.
Right. And then after she realized that her dogs were taken care of, then she started thanking us. And she, constant repetitive, thank you for what you've done.
That was like the last time she came in.
Well, yeah. And then she grabbed my hand and held my hand. She was, Sarah, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. I know it wasn't a very nice person, but thank you. And
It's weird how at the end, that's when they realize.
Yep. I said, look, it's fine. Your babies are good babies. They love you to death. I'll do whatever I can to make sure you stick with them. And Keith said the same thing. We are going to keep your dogs here, and we're not going to charge.
Right.
Well, unfortunately, she passed away. And we're like, okay, what's going to happen to these 2 dogs? I'm not going to adopt them out separately. Well, I guess she had a nephew of some sort that wanted both of them and was going to keep them both together. Came and picked up the dogs. But
where were they the whole time? And I've never seen those dogs since.
Yeah, right? But they've actually, I think, moved out of state.
Well, back to the shelter.
Anywho, but what I'm saying is that generosity comes in many different ways, and luckily she is getting a good helping of generosity.
Yeah, with having this story come out, I'm pretty sure the community pulls together and helps her out.
So like I said, the boarding facility should be giving her a hefty discount or letting the dog stay there for free.
Right. And one other thing I want to mention this week, I don't have any kind of clips or anything on it. I just was going to, talk about this really quickly. But if any of you actually pay attention to NHL and hockey, this week, a couple things happened in hockey that I thought was really cool to actually talk about. One of the stories came out of Ottawa, Ontario. One of the kids was holding a sign that said, if Bobby Ryan scores a goal, my dad said we can have a puppy. Mm-hmm. And which was really a great story, because Bobby Ryan of the Ottawa Senators ended up scoring a goal, which I think ended up winning the game for the team. But if you actually look at the video, you'll see the dad kind of just had this look, kind of walks out into the stairs, just like, oh crud, now I'm stuck. Well, the point that I want to make to that story is they are going to be adopting a puppy. They're in contact with a local shelter out there to look at their puppies and to adopt. And I thought that was a great story. In a related article to it, the father had said, I guess I should have chose a player that wasn't that good. Yeah, right. And then it happened a couple more times during this week. A couple times this week, people were holding up signs saying, so-and-so scores a hat trick, which is 3 goals in the game. I can get a dog, and so it has happened, I think, a total of 3 times that I'm aware of this week. So, great stories that, people are adopting dogs, they're going to shelters, and it's become public, not only in America, but now in Canada. I mean, Canada's always been doing it, but I'm just saying, it's really public information out there. So I thought that was a really cool thing to talk about really quick.
Now, if only we can get backyard breeders to stop.
Right?
I always look on Facebook, and people all over, they're just letting their dogs breed and just keep having puppies after puppies. And there's so many pit bulls, and it's like, oh my gosh, people, stop it.
Yeah.
Stop. Pit bulls are an amazing breed. I love them so much. But you keep overbreeding them, the likelihood of them being used for dog fighting just grows.
Right. And being stolen for that reason.
Exactly.
Are also there.
And then also we have a bunch of BSL, breed specific legislation everywhere because of these folks that don't want to just, nip it in the bud and fix their dogs.
Right.
If that can calm down and stop, that would be great.
Yeah, it'll be great. All right, well, that concludes GND News for this week. Back to you, Chris and Sarah.
Alrighty, folks, put your paws together for Guess the Breed. Guess the Breed. With your host, Chris Green.
Hello, contestant, and welcome to Guess the Breed. We are standing here with Sarah.
We're standing.
Well, we could be sitting, we could be standing, and we're in people's ears. How do they know?
Well, I can't use my hands like Claire does.
No, contestant. No, contestant, you cannot use your hands. All right, this week we are going back to what we did last week. We are going to talk about a dog famous for a movie role. Are you ready?
Sure.
Okay. Now, as always, let me ask all the questions before you guess. Okay. This movie came out April 3rd, 1992. So it's not terribly old, but still. Okay? I will give you the attributes. I will actually tell you the cast of the movie, and then I will give you a couple more attributes about the actual breed. It starred Charles Grodin, Bonnie Hunt, Dean Jones, Nicole Tom, and more. Just gonna stop with that. The actual breed itself is a good try. Actual breed specific on this dog's lifespan is 8 to 10 years. Its mass weight is between 140. Who ordered a caramel latte in the audience? Who did? Who? I want to know who. Okay. Now sit down and enjoy your caramel latte. Okay. The mass is 140 to 260 pounds. Temperament of this dog is lively, watchful, gentle, friendly, and calm. Height of this dog is 28 to 35 inches for a male, 26 to 31 inches for a female. Its origin is from two different places, Italy and Switzerland.
Okay.
The colors of this dog is reddish brown, brindle, reddish brown, splash, reddish brown mantle, brownish yellow, and red and white. Do you know what breed I'm speaking of?
There's no black on it?
There is, but it's probably more of a reddish, so it makes more of that black look. There is, but I'm trying to throw you a little off. But that's what the colors.
But they typically look tricolor.
Yes, they are tricolor.
Tan, white, and black.
There are tan, white, and black. Yes.
St. Bernard.
Very good. Now, that movie that I am speaking of is what?
Beethoven.
That is correct. It is Beethoven. It was a great classic movie. Now, here's a little bit of things about the Beethoven movie that I didn't know until I actually did some research.
It was filmed in 4K.
It was filmed in 760. Are you kidding? Actually, Eleanor Keaton, who was Buster Keaton's wife, she was widowed at the time. She was the actual trainer of this St. Bernard. I did not know that. It was actually largely filmed in a part of Pasadena, California. And at the beginning of the film, when Harvey and Vernon are chasing down the dogs, if you remember back with them chasing the dogs, and there was, I think, the pet store, it was all filmed on the Universal backlot, which I did not know that either. And Steve Martin was the first choice to play George Newton.
That would have been a great. That would have been awesome.
It was.
And then they would come back together for that Chick-fil-A together.
Would have been funny. John Candy, Danny DeVito, Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Jeff Goldblum, Rick Moranis, and Robin Williams were later considered for that part. So how they ended up where they did, look at the names that were originally in the cast before that movie. It was really strange to actually think that. So that concludes this week's edition of
Guess the Breed.
Guess the Breed.
And now a moment with Claire.
Hi Claire, how you doing?
Good.
All right, well this week on A Moment with Claire, let's talk about you being Farmer of the Week. Let me quickly set this up. At Claire's school, every week somebody is nominated to be Farmer of the Week. Now, of course, it seems a little odd, you know, for me it's always weird because coming from the big city, I'm like, Farmer of the Week, that's a weird one. But it's really a cool little thing that the kids get to do. They're nominated in by the teacher, and they bring snacks in, they have a really kind of highlighted that kid for that week. So they actually get to really
Get to bring stuff in.
yes, get to bring stuff in. Like
Yeah,
why don't you tell us? Tell us what you got to bring in this week.
Well, you can bring like a Farmer of the Week poster. You get your teacher sends in a Farmer of the Week poster for your mom and dad to tell you if you can, if your mom can do it or your child can do it.
Help fill it out.
Yeah, and sometimes I need help spelling out the word.
Oh, it's okay. You're still learning.
Yeah, it's getting hard to like sound out the words.
Well, you're getting to bigger words. You're learning how to spell big words now.
Like consonants.
Con-
I can spell out that word.
So, what else about Farmer of the Week did you do?
Well, you can actually bring in snacks any Monday or Tuesday. You can bring in snacks on Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, or Thursday, or Friday.
Okay.
So
any day?
Yeah, any of those.
Okay.
I bring it in on what day?
You brought it in on Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. I bring it on Tuesday, and I had enough for everyone. And
you had a special snack that day, huh?
Yeah, I had 2 snacks.
Yeah, you actually got 2.
Because there was enough for 25 kids.
Okay, but what was a special snack that we sent in for you and Mrs. Ziegler?
Yeah, it's getting confusing. Mrs. Ziegler and Miss Ziegler. She's married.
Is there a miss?
Or is it just Mrs.?
Yeah, she's married.
Okay, so there is only one. Okay, so it is Mrs. Okay, so now you got to bring in the letter that Mommy and I had to write for you.
Yeah, I want Daddy to write it. I want Daddy to tell the folks.
Well, I'm not gonna tell what I wrote, but okay, fine. So
she said folks, so therefore that means your turn.
So Sarah and I, we were at work and we were discussing, how we were gonna write this letter. We pretty much discussed the last 7 years. And
read it. Tell the folks what he read.
I don't have the paper with me.
Where you've been.
Yeah, where you've been, how you travel. You've been able to travel. Look at how quickly she's gonna just take the microphone. She's got her hand on the microphone. She's ready to go.
I went all over the city.
You've been to many states, and you've also been to other countries.
I've been to California. I've been to Texas. Well,
New Mexico,
I don't
Arizona.
know how many times. How many days have I been in the desert?
I don't know. Probably a couple. Well, not as many.
How many times?
Driving through New Mexico and
Yeah.
Texas.
How many bottled waters do we?
She's done across country 3 times.
How many bottled waters do we need to have for the dessert?
Well, for the dessert.
Dessert?
You mean desert?
Oh, you went through quite a few.
I was sweaty and hot like
pigs.
pigs.
You were a baby.
Yeah, you were in a car. You didn't walk with a shirt around your head in sand. You were in a car.
A nice car
Yeah.
with fabulous air conditioning.
Yeah, you were fine.
An awesome heater because when we went through Flagstaff, when it
Oh
was snow
boy, yeah,
everywhere,
moving out here, it was snow. That was my first time to see snow too.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, well, I had gone and seen snow, but like when I saw, it, I'm like, oh my god, I'm gonna move to a place with snow. This is what it looks like.
well, I'll tell you all the weeks that you have to bring in something. Monday you have to bring in a poster, Farm of the Week
Yes, we
poster.
covered
We got that already. We got the
Yeah.
snack. We got the letter.
And Daddy let you take what to school for show and tell?
Yeah, you had one day.
Bobblehead, Pip-Boy.
Pip-Boy from the actual video game
Voltec.
Fallout video game, which rundown on that. I play the game Fallout. Claire likes to sit there and watch it. So on Sundays, her and I spend time.
Yeah, like
Hours,
Hours.
folks. I'm talking about 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
not only
like,
on that game.
actually,
I rotate out.
Daddy's in a higher level. Well, there's no levels, but he's a 4. Well, there was an explosion.
Yeah, we're totally off. So this week you were Farm of the Week, and for this week's Moment with Claire, we just wanted to kind of talk about that a little bit, and which we did, which is awesome. So thank you for actually.
And on Fridays, you can also bring a book.
Bring a book. Yeah, you read a book on Friday, didn't you?
To everybody in the class?
Was
Was that scary?
It's called Snug House, Bug House.
Snug House, Bug House.
Was it scary reading to everybody in the class?
Nah.
Well, of course it's not scary. You're a podcaster.
Right? I mean, to set this up, folks. She's sitting here right in front of the microphone. It's a stationary mic. It's not like an actual mic with the bass or anything. It's an actual kind of studio mic, and she's got her hand around it, just right up against it. You're a podcaster, little one.
Of course.
All right. Well, thank you for actually telling us about your week. Say bye.
Bye. And this was a moment with Claire.
All right, and now on to our main topic of the week.
And which is?
Why does my dog eat its poop? And I use the word poop. Hey, folks, if you're eating in the audience, this is probably a good time to put the food down.
Luckily, there's nobody right next to us, but...
Okay, so now this came about this week because a good friend of yours, I would say ours, but you've known her since you first came out here. Delane had something happen, so please tell us the story. Wow, you are not a podcaster at all.
I don't want to yell. So, Delane is known as the poodle mama. She has 3 standard poodles, and she absolutely adores her babies. Her husband absolutely adores her babies. I and Chris absolutely adore her babies. There's just nothing to not love about Delane, her husband, or her poodles. Well, as the years have gone by, since we've been here in Missouri, we've come real close. Well, she sends me this one message, and in a bit of a panic, she said that her oldest poodle, Sophie, is not eating right. She's throwing up. She has massive diarrhea, blood in her diarrhea.
Diarrhea.
Indigestion. But she was having all of these problems. Well, she explained it to the veterinarian. The veterinarian gave her, or told her to give Sophie Pepto-Bismol and pumpkin.
Now, we've been telling people about Pepto-Bismol for a while.
Yes, and pumpkin as well.
I have the applications for pumpkin, what that does, if that helps you.
Okay, well, in just a second.
Okay.
So she was giving them both the Pepto and the pumpkin. Well, Pepto-Bismol does the same to dogs as it does to humans. It makes you not poo. It stops and hardens everything from the liquid state to a more of a solid mass. So that it prevents from dehydration. And the first thing you gotta worry about when somebody has diarrhea, same thing with the dog. You gotta make sure that they're not dehydrated. But please explain to us what pumpkin will do given to a dog. Now it's just pumpkin from a can.
Just pumpkin.
There's no pumpkin filling. It's nothing like that. No sugar added. It's just straight pumpkin.
I'm getting there. Okay, it's good for both diarrhea, and constipation. Canned pumpkin, not raw, not the sugary spicy pie filling, is loaded with fiber and beta-carotene, which the body converts to vitamin A. Don't give Buddy a lot of it. Too much A is highly toxic for dogs, but a couple of teaspoons a day for your little pup or a couple of teaspoons will actually work. And that's pretty much it. Summarizing it, that's it. So kind of gives you, what you need. So carry on.
My only problem about giving a dog pumpkin while it's having diarrhea is that it's also used to give it to the constipation part. So I don't see how pumpkin will be able to go through a system and say, am I going to be a stool softener or am I going to be a stool hardener today?
Well, see, I think what it is that they gave him the actual Pepto. And don't do both. Don't do it simultaneously. I think they gave
But they told them to do. They
told
them to do it.
Probably a miscommunication on that
I
by
don't
them.
think so.
I don't think
they'll
see, and I don't see where that would work out. See, I can see where it's like, okay, if the dog's having the diarrhea, you give it the actual Pepto. Let it actually do its job, and then 4-6 hours later, then start the pumpkin regimen.
Yeah.
That way you keep them back. You get them right on track. You put them back on track, and then it'll actually work. So if your dog's having this problem, do it in the morning or afternoon, and then later in the evening, then do it, and then keep that process up.
And keep an eye. Exactly. You got to watch him go to see if the stool has hardened or if is still liquid.
Right.
Well, she takes her pup to the veterinarian with a fecal matter test, a fecal test.
Right.
Yeah.
Now there is a good reason for that. That actual test itself, what they're doing is they're actually looking for a couple of things. With that actual test, you're looking for pancreatic insufficiencies, because that's one of the things that you're going to find, especially when dogs are actually eating their poop. That's one thing that could be a possibility. The other possibility is intestinal parasites. So by testing the actual feces, you can actually determine if either one of these are problems. If they are, then you actually have to actually do something.
because it could be any kind of worm that could have gotten in there.
That's intestinal parasites.
Yeah, anything. So, well, by doing the test, they came to a conclusion that Sophie has been eating
feces.
Yeah, has been eating poo. They let her out in their big yard to go to the bathroom. Well, they think they're getting to the cat poo because I guess they have outdoor cats in that area, and they love to use their yard as a litter box.
Now there are multiple reasons why this happens.
Yeah, it's not uncommon for a dog to do this.
Very common, actually.
But the most common, and I will stick to this, and people love to say that there's several different reasons for it, but I think the reason why a dog eats poo is because they're missing some kind of mineral.
Yes.
They're missing some kind of supplement. They're not getting the vitamins from their food like they should be. It's just the same thing with humans. Sometimes you have an iron deficiency, so even though you eat iron-enriched foods, you still need more iron in your diet, so you take supplement.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked Elaine, and she goes, well, she's been on Cosequin, but for the past week she's been off of it. And I asked, well, how long has she been doing this? She goes, for the past week.
There's your culprit right there.
It's something that Cosequin that helps, because there's so many different medications out there that is given that isn't for what it really is supposed to be for.
Yeah.
I know my dad was on quite a few medicines that were meant for one thing, but was used for something completely different.
I've known people that are on a birth control by the shot because it actually had something to actually counterbalance pulmonary embolisms. So they were on the Depo shot because it actually, yeah.
Women are put on birth control for skin complexion problems.
Yes.
So there's medications always used for different reasons. So Cosequin was doing something other than helping her with her joints.
Mm-hmm.
was helping balance her system. Well, her system was thrown out of balance because the veterinarian was out of it and she didn't know where else to get it. So she was just going to wait until they had a shipment. And this is what happens.
Now, there are a lot of other reasons why. Now, here's the part that we really want to topic on as well, and that is there's a lot of reasons why your dog may be eating feces around the house, whether it's on the litter box or around the house. Maybe they might actually go to the bathroom and the house as well while you're at work. One of the key components, boredom. If they're bored, they have a tendency to do this.
Let's see, and I don't see that.
I'm totally with you, but I've read so much this week about it.
I think they're grasping at straws when I see that. I don't see a bored dog going over and saying, "Hey, I want to eat this."
Well,
no.
What do we do?
They would much rather tear up your carpet, tear up your couch, pull apart things, pull apart their bedding.
What do we do when we're bored? We eat.
Yes, you chew up stuff that, because, when I'm bored, I take a corner of the couch and it's gone.
You do? Wow, that's no wonder there's only one piece of material left.
It could be that my strange addiction to eat
gosh.
pillowcases.
Oh gosh.
Or pillows.
Now, now for any of you folks that are listening that actually have this problem, you're going to be told one thing, and one thing first and foremost, and that is it's behavior. That's the first thing that you're going to be told. Let me tell you, that's a load of BS. And that's one of the reasons why we're doing this is because we want to make sure you're going to hear its behavior. Number one, you're going to hear it from any dog trainer. That's the first thing that they're going to say because that's their line of work is just dog training. That's not true. There's 3 different ways this could go. Behavior, health, and just lifestyle. Mm-hmm. Now, the next one, if you disagree with, like Sarah, that they say boredom is it. Nutrition. As the case with the latest dogs, they were missing a supplement.
Yeah, they were on extremely good food. They're on good food. Diamond Natural, large breed. It's good food. It's not bad. Yeah, they could be better, but I mean, she's got 3 standard poodles. Yeah. You can't exactly give them gourmet food every night. I understand that. You understand that.
I very much understand that.
So, the better your food is, the less likely they are to do such things.
Right.
The more minerals and vitamins cooked into the food that's actually still in there after the cooking of the food, because when you cook anything at such a high temperature, it kills everything good. Just like it kills all the bad stuff, it can kill the good stuff too. So you want to be conscientious where you're getting your facts about how much nutrition is actually in the food that you bought for your dog. If you're worried, you can just give a little vitamins, but keep an eye out in case you're giving them too much.
Yeah, you give too much vitamins and you can kill them.
Yeah.
The other thing that...
But it would take an awful lot to kill them.
Yes.
That takes an awful lot.
You can easily on Pet MD, you can Google how much is too much.
Well, yeah, you can easily Google. Yeah. You gotta watch what you're saying because you're...
I said easily Google. Well, I said you can go on Pet MD and you can search that. You can search around to see how much milligrams are in everything.
But you don't want to overdose.
Right.
It's the likelihood of killing them is not exactly
I think
there.
it's more of organ failure. Maybe.
It's too much. It'll take a while for it to get out of their system. But you just from there you go, okay, well this is too much, so therefore we're going to lower let's see how this is. Or, oh well, he's still eating his poop. Maybe I'll try a little bit more and find a common ground where you can go.
Well, going to the behavior, sticking on behavior, there's still a couple other things to go with because it's possible.
Right now you're on food, on nutrition.
Well, I needed to go back to what I was saying on that because I kind of off topic to myself in a sense. To nutrition part, there was another thing. If your dog is bored and you only feed them at night, what you can do is you can do 2 smaller meals. kind of cut your dosage, your food consumption down, so that there's food in the morning and food in the evening. So going kind of, it's that whole thing where, like I was saying, I'm kind of not bouncing around. I'm still staying with nutrition, but if you actually, look, like I said, if I'm bored, I eat. I'm that type of person. So it is the possibility that maybe your dog is bored. I know, right?
And yet you're really
like
skinny.
Last night, I was sitting there on the couch going, I'm all alone. I'm playing with the computer. I'm like, I'm gonna get me a bag of chips.
And I come out of the room and I look, and here you are stuffing your face and you give me that look of the deer in the headlights.
I look like Mr. Incredible with the cake, actually. But when I'm bored, I eat. So maybe your dog is just not, you're feeding them once a night, and they're getting the nutrition or they're getting the food that they want, but it's all at once. So you may want to actually split the meals up in half. So if you're giving 4, cups, do 2 in the morning, 2 at night, or 2.5 at night, or however you want to do it. Just, that's one other option. So the other thing, they say it's actually boredom, loneliness, anxiety. And all that, what that's going to do is that's going to formulate the stress, because then they stress out because they're bored, or they stress out because they're lonely. Let's be realistic. Dogs and cats stress out very easily.
Hold me, I'm so lonely. Hold me.
Now, another thing that we need a topic on when it comes to this is your dogs. Now, we know a few people that actually have kennels on their property and they put their dogs in a kennel. There's another option. A dog who is confined in a kennel or restricted to a small yard or other space may actually eat their feces to occupy themselves or clean their personal space. So the fact that, I know, right, it just sounds so gross, but I hope you guys aren't eating breakfast while you're listening to this, but you knew coming into it what this was about.
And they're sitting there shoveling food in their mouth. No, keep going.
I'm having Cocoa Krispies. Let's keep talking. But they are very, in a sense, you could say they're a little bit OCD. They want a clean space, so they clean up after themselves. Which, that's amazing if you think about it.
I'd rather not think about it. Just saying.
Now, of course, you have puppies, and you have a nursing mother. She's going to do this. She's going to actually clean her pups, or she's going to stimulate their backside to actually help them, coerce them to actually go to the bathroom.
Well, yeah, anytime you're bottle feeding a puppy or a kitten and they're not going to the bathroom, you gotta do that. I was told to get a wet washcloth.
Yes.
And get nice and warm.
This is for a cat, but yes.
Get the washcloth nice and warm, and go in circular motions. And this is back when we had Rambo as a kitten. Nothing was helping. He just would not go. So I gave him what was it? Corn syrup?
Yeah, it's a syrup.
Corn syrup.
I think so.
I gave him a little bit of corn syrup.
I'm trying to think of the name too.
And that helped him go. So if you have a dog that's constipated too, corn syrup would help. Or a cat is constipated. I gave him just a little bit, not much.
Yeah, you put it in one of those syringes.
And little baby syringes that we used to have when Claire was sick.
And actually, if you look, you can get them, a lot of kids' prescriptions, infant prescriptions, they come in those little syringes.
Yeah, and the infant medicine over-the-counter stuff.
Yeah. I think they actually sell them individually, too. I would imagine. Or you can go to the pharmacy. I know pharmacies would have.
The one we had was from Target.
Yeah.
Back when we lived next to Target.
Some breeds instinctively like to carry things in their mouth. Picking up feces and carrying it around may signal that the dog needs more daily exercise, mental stimulation, and interaction with people. I think that's... Obviously, I spent this whole week looking at why do dogs eat their poop. I think my excessive reading this week might have been a little crappy. Get it?
Scary.
Yeah, right. But you think about it, it is quite interesting to think about that. I mean, again, you don't have a dog that's actually bored. They're just it's an instinct, or it's a cleanliness thing. There's so many reasons why a dog will do this. the emotional stress of being left alone or restricted to a small area for long periods of time without the companionship of a caregiver can result for some dogs in eating their feces. So it's really, you know, one of the things we always say is, and we've said this from day one, you got to pick your breed. You got to make sure you have the time for this dog. You know, it's like Katana or Akita, very sociable dog. She's not the kind of dog that could be a one-dog house. She's not the kind of dog that could be left alone on long periods of time. She needs the companionship. And, you know, I would even go with the same thing with Belle. The Chihuahua is the same way, very sociable dog.
Belle can pass out for hours and hours and hours and be left alone and be totally cool. Katana is the one that will get depression if we're not careful.
Yep. Now, you know...
Because she tears up the house when someone comes home after quite a few hours.
Oh boy, does she ever.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to post a bunch of stuff on show description. It's going to be very massive, so I'm going to go down a full list of things on there. I'm not going to go through it all here. But I want to go over a couple solutions. Now, we've already talked about changing diet. We've talked about splitting up the diet. We've gone over some things. Now, another thing you can always do is you can keep the TV on. That might do something. That audible sound could have some effect. Change the dog's diet, as we said. Buy or prepare only nutritious quality food that's formulated for your dog's age, breed, and medical issues.
That's called diet, yeah.
Well, yeah, but if you don't spell it out, it's still...
Our listeners are smart. They know what they're doing.
I know, but there might be somebody who's listening to us for the very first time, and, you know, for all of you, we really can tell who's, you know, our usual, and then we can always tell... Yeah, I can.
People listen?
Yeah, they do.
We're still doing a podcast?
We are? No, we're just talking. Anyway.
Oh, I was about ready to go to sleep.
You are asleep. You're always asleep doing this. What are you talking about? For the dog who may be hungry, try feeding him a little more and make sure you feed a quality nutritious food with the appropriate for the age and type of animal. Well, that's exactly it. Keep saying it. Your nutrition is the first thing you need to learn when you get your dog. Clean up after your pet right after they go. Before he or she has a chance to eat their feces, stop their access. Really simple right there. Now, I'm gonna go with this. This is one thing I read on another spot, and that was, and I don't, it's so foreign to me that I think it's weird, and that is, when you're walking your dog, have a leash on him. That way you have a chance to pull him away. Having 3 dogs that are off-leash trained, I'm just thinking to myself, I don't understand that concept.
And what sucks is our dogs are horrible on leashes.
Oh, they're the worst.
Oh, they're so bad. Roxy is the absolute worst. Katana's good. She just moves a lot. She goes left and right, left and right.
She's ADD.
Yeah.
Very ADD.
Belle is so tiny. She just goes wherever she can. She doesn't care.
She's European. She likes to go on the left side.
And she likes to walk underneath Katana.
Yes, that too. Couple more and then I'll call it a day, but...
Cool.
Said the audience. If the dog is defecating in the house, the dog needs to be fed and walked on a schedule that allows them to eliminate the problem before the owner leaves. I'm not going to go through all that. It's very simple. If you get up in the morning before you leave for work, when you come home, make sure you take them for a walk, and right before, you know, as it's getting a little dark, you know, we get home from work. Let's just say you get home from work 5, 6 o'clock. You get the point. You can always summarize this on your clocks. And then later on that night, you can take them for one more walk before the night's up.
What would happen if we couldn't just open our door and let our dogs go?
Well, I would imagine we would live in a house of crap.
Stop.
Well, if they couldn't go outside, I mean...
No, I mean, what if we couldn't just open the door and let them go?
Then we would have to put them on a leash and take them for a walk.
Your life would get so much harder.
And there's a reason why I open up my front door and say, have at it, Hoss. I have a purpose in life, let me tell you. And as I said, I'm going to post all this in the show notes so you can read a lot more. I've got plenty for you to read if you find that there's nothing better to do while you're in the bathroom. Speaking of which.
I want to reach while I take it.
That's exactly what I was going for. What better thing to read about than pooping while pooping? Seriously.
Well, that's the cleaner way. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I try
That's
to.
the cleaner version.
I am typically the type that actually could do that off mic. I'll say that off mic, not on mic. We just want to make sure that we're giving you guys as much information as possible, and obviously, you know, there's so many things that could go wrong. I think we covered everything that's the main problems. You know, it is a challenging subject, and there's definitely a lot of different things. Again, don't let people talk to you and tell you it's just behavior, because honestly,
that should be the last resort.
it is number 3. It's 3 of 3. You know, first medical, second nutrition, and third is going to stay as behavior. If you have any opinions on this, you can always make a comment on our show page, whether it's on our Facebook page, on iTunes, or on YouTube. There's a comment area. Leave your comments. Drop us an email at thegroomernextdoor@yahoo.com. Maybe you disagree with us. Maybe you agree with us. Either way, you know, this is what we have for you, and you may have a better opinion, but I don't think there's much more fact than I can give you guys.
Yep. If you need to make an appointment, just give us a call.
I don't
Send me a
think
message.
we're vets.
Well, they need a grooming appointment.
Well, that's different. That's different.
I mean, I can get them a vet appointment.
Do you hear that sound? That sound is the applause that Claire has turned on the sign. People are applauding. They're ready to go home. They're done with us. I am Chris Green. Have a fantastic week. Sarah?
Oh, I'm Sarah Green, making sure everybody realizes life is so short. Play with your pet.
Claire?
I'm Clay Green. Have fun with your pets and kittens.
Goodbye, everybody.
Okay, gotta go in my bedtime.
Was without doubt the worst episode ever. Rest assured that I was on the internet within minutes, registering my disgust throughout the world.
All right, good show, everybody. That's a wrap.